It is Sunday, May the 4th be with you, and it's getting pretty late with Jake Landau. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. Hope you're having a good Star Wars day today, and indeed, may the Force be with you. Not the main topic of today's discussion, but I hope everyone's having a good time, and if you don't like Star Wars, I'm sorry, but it's not your day. Anyways, we've got a special guest with us today, someone whose work I enjoy very much. She's an actor, a comedian, and a political satirist for whose work can be found on Blue Sky and at the Beaverton. Her name is Clare Blackwood. Clare, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I also like some Star Wars.
That is valid. Although you're more of a Lord of the Rings fan from what I know.
I am. And when I say some Star Wars, I mean I like the original trilogy just because that's what I listened to when I was growing up or
Valid.
watched when I was growing up, and then everything else just seems a bit much. But
you
it's
like the Star Wars.
I like the Star Wars, and I think maybe I would have liked the rest of the Star Wars going forward, but the fan base is just so awful that it just really turned me off.
I know it like there are a lot of chuds. Like the chud index is high.
Yeah, I've just never seen so much anger devoted towards a franchise that you supposedly love.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other problem is the majority of Star Wars movies aren't good. Like a lot of the time they'll be like good Star Wars, but they're not like good in general.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, like I understand if they were, I can talk about The Hobbit, till the day is long. But I don't know. I got so sick of people, just the vitriol towards anybody who wasn't like a straight white dude.
Yeah, it was really bad with like both Kenobi and The Acolyte, where like Ewan McGregor had to go on Twitter himself and be, "I hate all of you, leave."
Yep.
Yeah,
time for that.
I mean, have you been watching Andor at all?
No, I don't have time for TV right now.
You're too busy making it.
I have been told that Andor is the best stuff to come out Star Wars wise, and I probably should watch it. I don't know. I think I liked the original trilogy, and then I discovered that I'm not really interested in the Star Wars universe. Like maybe that makes me a bad nerd, but
no, I get it. Like it's a big investment. Like the fact that I like in my head I'm like there are 5 super hyperspace lanes, like that this is useless information. Like this is blocking something that could help me actually like make money and have a valuable life.
Well, yeah, there you go. And I mean, I'm never going to fault anybody for their obsessions. God knows I have them. Yes, I've been told that Andor is wonderful. I'm sure I will get to it at some point, but I think it's behind approximately 20 different shows at this point.
Valid.
So it's got to wait a bit.
I mean, the good news is in 2 weeks, it's like, or more like 10 days, it's about to be done.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah. So like you'll have like a complete show and you'll get to know if it ended on a high note.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I like that. We don't get a lot of finality in like Hollywood, like a lot of the days.
We do not.
Like they never just plan something out with a conclusion on a high note.
Now looking at you, Supernatural.
Yeah, I think this is a zombie show.
Hey, yeah, I love it so much.
I'm not complaining. Like, I mean, the Scooby-Doo episode came pretty late in the run, and that was pretty great. Like.
I will watch My Boys forever, but I think it was supposed to end at season 5, and then they just went, "Oh shit, we're making money."
Yeah.
I guess we're not ending at season 5 anymore.
Jensen Ackles needs to make money.
Yeah. God knows he's got nothing else in the works.
And occasionally DC Comics has him voice the Robin that died.
Oh, great. And I mean, he's also on The Boys, so I think he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, he's carved that out. But I personally, I'm here to talk about your work and because I like your comedy. I mean, I always say online, I joke, but it's not really even like wrong. I see a headline published by the Beaverton, I see it on Twitter or Blue Sky, and then before I click on it, I'm like, Claire probably wrote that one. Yeah.
Yes, that is a compliment that I appreciate very much. I like to have a brand.
Oh yeah,
And when my brand succeeds, then I am happy.
oh well, I mean, it's real. I mean, especially as a comedian, like, I mean, it's not just you want to be funny, but like your jokes particularly are you funny. Like
Yes.
they're. Although, like, I know your most recent one, I forget the exact headline. I don't have it in front of me, but it was the one about like the woman like bleeding out on the ER floor, and the
Oh
doctor
yeah.
asks if she's considered she might be pregnant. And like,
Yeah.
and full credit to you on this one, but I don't know that that's only something you would have come up with. I think every woman in comedy would think of that one, and the problem is just
Yeah.
that women never get hired.
Yeah.
Well, not
And I
never,
mean, yeah,
but
no,
yeah.
it's by certainly no means like a wildly original take, but also whenever I can get little digs in at the healthcare system,
Oh
I
yeah.
will.
And but that's honestly something I liked about it, because I mean, obviously it was written in a very you way, but it's just such an
Mm,
obvious piece of satire that half the population wouldn't think about because they don't experience it. But like,
yeah.
but it's really funny. Like I saw it, and I read the article, and I was like dying because it's true. Like this has happened to like multiple women I know, and I won't go into detail obviously, but like it's absurd. Like it happens, like it happens a lot.
Oh yeah, I've had it happen. Every single one of my friends has had it happen. I mean, you can come in with a your head will be clean off, and they'll just like maybe go on birth control for it.
Yeah, it's like, are you sure that broken finger bent at 180-degree angle isn't hysteria?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
basically.
oh, although I think the first Beaverton column, not that you wrote, but the one that really caught my attention, and also my mom's, and which is why she's a fan of yours too,
Oh,
was
shout out to your mom.
it was she'll probably listen to this on the way back from Ottawa this evening, so good for her. But
Delightful.
remember when Amy Ham wrote that insanely unhinged National Post
Oh,
column?
say no more. It's one of the greatest articles I've ever read in my life.
Oh,
I will never be. I will be so grateful to her for that.
and she quote tweeted me recently on Twitter, and I like, didn't you write the crazy National Post column about Sydney Sweeney's breasts? And then she responded, yes, and it was the proudest moment of my career. And
Oh
I'm
God,
like, pick
no!
pick me as a terminal disease. There's no known
That's,
cure.
that's so sad. She's written a lot of insane shit.
Oh, it's like it's hard like to pick like a crazy one to top all of it, but I guess she's pretty proud of that one. It's like
Well,
you know that joke where like someone will like urinate on themselves, and then people will laugh at them, and they'll say, "I owned the libs. I'm living in their head rent free."
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just all of conservative comedy at this point.
Yeah, pretty much same difference. Tomato,
It
tomato.
it, it exists to trigger the libs, and you know, our job is to hopefully not fall for it.
Uh, indeed. But all I know is like after I read that column, like the words mammary slam were like firmly embedded in my brain.
I will admit that like there are times with the Beaverton where something will happen in the world, and we all pitch our time sensitive headlines on in like just a secret Facebook group, and it has to get enough likes from people in order to be written. And that was one of the times where
So
I was
like a
just like,
virtual
listen,
writer's room.
yeah, it was a virtual writer's room, and I just remember just being like, "Listen, guys, I fucking need this one. I need you to give me this. I need to write my response to this because I love this so much. It is so absurd." And sometimes that happens, and those are generally my favorite pieces to write. Where it's just like, no, I have to be the one to write this.
Was there any other pitches for that piece that you also liked, or just did nothing compete with yours at all on that one?
Honestly, that was a year ago. I don't remember.
Valid. Time is a circle.
Time is a circle, and I think I posted it first, and I don't even know if I got any other headlines. I was just like, I need this.
Yeah, you moved too quick.
Yeah.
No one else could get in. And
Yeah,
and
I'm
thank
okay
God
with
for
that.
that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
also okay with that. I think we live in the best timeline for
Gotta
that time.
gotta fight the woke
Yeah.
war, man. We gotta fight it.
What's another one of your favorite like Beaverton pieces that you've written? Because like you pump out a fair bit there.
Yeah. I mean, I love. Oh boy.
I know asking a comedian what's their favorite joke, like it can get a little self-aggrandizing, so I do apologize.
No, it's fine. I always love talking about like the Beaverton, but I almost just like, oh God, I've written like 250 articles from them. I will say,
That's what I call success on freelancing.
yeah, sure, we make so much money. I will say that when Andrew Tate got himself arrested for like clapping back at Greta Thunberg, like in a house coat and pizza and a cigar after she like said that he had small dick energy, and he got himself arrested because they recognized the pizza boxes. I think that was another one of those times where I was just like, oh no, this is mine, guys. I claim this. And I think it was called like Small Dicked Man Still Manages to Fuck Himself.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
It's nice when it's been enough time that I forget a joke and then I can laugh at it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that was an easy one for me to write.
Oh yeah,
And I just got a lot makes of puns for dicks.
yeah, it's like and that's the thing. It's like with satire, like they tee themselves up, but you do have to like stretch it out into a whole piece. Like people don't just read the headlines. Like,
Well, they do though. That's the thing.
I mean, I know a lot of people unfortunately do read the headlines, but you do actually have to write an article.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And frankly, once you get the headline down, the article kind of writes itself. Because you get a sense of like, yeah, these are the jokes that need to be included.
I do
This is
feel
where
that where your headline essentially just becomes your thesis, and then you're just
that's what it is. It's the title of the essay, and then you just
and
fill it with quotes.
And as writers, it's like grinding out 600 to 800 words in an hour is just what we do.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, at least like if you write columns or such, like you like quick turnaround, like timely commentary. And like I've always thought it is funny, like how much like people who not just for the Beaverton but for the Onion or for any satire paper, like not to be too expansive with the word journalism, but in a way you are doing very much the same thing that columnists and opinion journalists do, just with a funny tone.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, we are taking our headlines from the true things that are happening in the world. So we're letting you know that those things happen. We're just letting you know them in a more funny way.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, occasionally, like things are massaged for the sake of comedic effect, but the funniest satire is the ones that are the closest to the truth. And honestly, sometimes satire isn't even funny. Sometimes it's just, I mean, what comes to mind is the Onion piece. Whenever there's a mass shooting in the United States, no way to prevent this, says only nation where this regularly happens. Like, it's not funny. Like when they like after Parkland, like, or when they just published every time they published it, it really wasn't funny. It was more of like a primal scream of terror, but it is satire at its best, and I do have to say it performs journalism better than a lot of more sincere opinion work does.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the important thing to remember about satire is that there can be really some, there's some shitty satire out there, but at the same time, sometimes it's easier to get the point across in a 300-word comedy article with a funny headline than it is to be like, read this, 2,000-word article in the Atlantic and then get back to me and see if your mind has been changed. Like,
right, you get to be more blunt with the fact, like, because you have the jester's privilege.
Yeah, basically. And we're also not sponsored by a government, and we get no funding from networks that can try to tell us what to write or what not to write.
True. I mean, I know the Beaverton had a show on CTV a long time ago, but it was like way before COVID. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, it ended in 2019.
yeah. Okay, so not way before COVID, but like it's but like currently it's like it is independent media in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are. We're
Yeah.
independent media, which is nice because we can, say the things that other publications are either too chicken shit to say, or, actually, you know what? I'm just going to stop it there. Too chicken shit to say.
That one. Do you is there any other satire publications in Canada that you're fond of other than the Beaverton?
Ooh, I believe there's one. I mean, I know that we're the big one, but I think there's
Well,
like
that is why I asked the
the walk.
question. It's like asking
Yeah.
an onion writer, who else are you looking at?
I think it's called is it Walking Eagle News?
Something like that.
It's
I
it's
think I know the one you're talking about. It's the Indigenous satire.
yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that
Yeah,
one very
Walking Eagle
much.
News.
Like I don't have the like occasionally like I'll see a post of the piece of theirs published, and they do really like get to me just because of like it's that same kind of like blunt social commentary that really.
Yes.
It, and also, in a way, it's kind of why I have a bone to pick with Jon Stewart, because he insists that he's not a
Oh, I have a lot
journalist.
of ones to
Yeah,
pick.
like he insists he's not a journalist, that he's not the news, and I'm like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you do have, unfortunately, a
Yeah.
responsibility to your audience.
Yeah, you can't just kind of throw up your hands and say, "Whoops, I made a mistake." Like, I mean, we all make mistakes, but yeah, people are getting their news from your platform, and I think to deny that is disingenuous.
Right, and it's the same way. Like I used to honestly be on the other side of things and say that opinion isn't even new journalism. But then I realized, well, no, there's still a fact burden, and you have to judge it on the fact burden. And
Yeah,
you don't want, when you say that something isn't journalism, what you're actually doing is just giving them a license to be as biased and virulent as they please. Like
yeah,
you've removed any fact burden that people could judge them by.
yeah. I mean, you're allowed to have your opinion on the subjectivity of a take, or
Yeah,
you're allowed to feel a certain way, but at the same time, it's just like, I mean, what is it? The old adage of like, eh, you look outside the window. Is it raining or not?
yeah. It's
Like,
like you're
if
not
it's
there to be
raining, you have to say it's
neutral.
raining.
It's there to be
Yeah.
true.
Yes.
Yeah. Of the Stewart spawn, I do mainly like John Oliver, just because I feel like he has taken that responsibility to like actually like do basic research and present a topic in a factual way, but also funny, more seriously than John Stewart ever did.
Yep. Yep. John Oliver's great.
Yeah.
I love. I mean, I love Last Week Tonight. I prefer. I mean, it's not a John Stewart baby, but I prefer Some More News. They're kind of my go-to weekly show. It's basically like John Stewart, but twice as long and twice as angry.
Well, that's the
And
thing. John
it's great.
Stewart is also twice as long now. He just gradually kept on doing longer interviews, and now when I check on the TV, it's booked for an hour. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's like he was kind of okay when he like started up again, and then like he kind of I can't actually tell what the focus of an episode is when he's hosting. Like
Yeah, he grinds my gears a lot, and I feel like I like the other hosts more than him a lot of the time. I just find that, I mean, maybe I think he's probably always been this way. It's just, I think the way that we consume this kind of media has moved on.
yeah.
Um,
Of the Daily Show hosts I like Josh Johnson. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Josh is great.
Oh yeah, and like I follow him on Blue Sky, and it's just like I've been watching his stand-up work, and it's really funny. And like, and in Canada, like I feel like we do appreciate stand-up more, just because of how underdeveloped television was for a while. So, like I forget who said it, but it was like you just in Canada you had to do a lot more stand-up as a professional comedian, because they're just what unless you were going to the US, there just wasn't as much television.
Yes. If you want, sorry, just one second.
Oh.
had to clear my throat. I'm so sorry. Yeah, if you basically like, most TV writers are stand-up comedians in Canada
because they have to write their own show essentially.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, I think it's just scouts kind of go, these people can write X amount of jokes in X amount of time. And I mean, I don't know the process behind it. I just think that it's a good pool of people to pull from. Yeah, like the comedy community is both large and small, and it's so talented, but we don't have a lot of avenues to showcase that. We basically have 22 minutes.
Yeah, and like, all full credit to 22 minutes, but it's not enough. I mean, we don't even have like a proper like evening like comedy show. Like we don't even have an evening talk show like in Anglo Canada. Like we don't have, like in Quebec they have Tout le monde en parle, like, which is a great show. It's not even strictly comedy, but it's like it's an evening talk show with personality, like the kind of thing that Stephen Colbert did, so he would stop having to tell jokes outside of a 10-minute monologue. Like, and we don't have that. I mean, I put out this evening podcast, but that's not the same. Like, I
mean, people need to be able to turn on their TVs and or go on. Well, now
people
nowadays,
need pictures of Spider-Man.
I think we need to be focused less on like the 60 plus who have TVs in houses, and I think we need to find a way to like get late night type content to younger people, because generally the younger generations are getting more right wing, and like that's a problem, and we need to address it. And I'm not saying satire will do everything, but also
it's weird there isn't like a late night like Canadian talk show or like comedy show like on Twitch or something where like your broadcast, like where you can have a lower budget, but the idea is you can have a scheduled broadcast and then recordings, but in a place that like a younger age demographic reach, because and this is occasionally like what some of the more like right-wing new media outlets do, but like they do like they record the podcast live with like a broadcast like on Twitch or something like that. And I mean, obviously, like, you don't have to go through the CRTC. You don't have to get the existing media monopoly to agree to carry you on your channel or to carry your channel or something like that. Like, I think because it's right, people don't understand, like, how hard it is to get a show on television, let alone Canadian television.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's what I was just going to say. Like, when people are like, I can't believe there isn't just an independent Twitch stream. I'm like, whenever somebody says that, I'm like, I don't think you understand how difficult it is to do something like that consistently. Because generally the people who are going to do that are the people who like are artists and who care, and we have no money.
Right.
We have no time. We're working a billion jobs. We're probably actors. We're probably writers. And on top of that, late night jokes are fucking hard. They're hard to write. It's not just like going on Twitch and just like, here's what happened in the news. Like you have to make jokes. Oh, no. You have to have a writer's room. Like, and so the idea,
you need a crew. You need sponsors. You need a professional production. Like that only removes one piece of the puzzle, and it may target a better age demographic, but it doesn't fix the fact they need consistent, dedicated funding that comedians just don't have.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, you're right. Like, writing for late night is fucking hard. Like, you have to be topical. You have to have something, even if nothing really funny or notable happened that day.
Yes.
Like it is like drawing blood from a stone a lot of nights. And I know people joked about how late night comedians were happy that Trump won the first time because it gave them material, but in a way it wasn't wrong. Those things were about Trump every fucking night for 4 years.
Yeah, and they still are, but I guarantee you that those writers are so sick of it.
They're sick of it, but also what else is there to write about every day?
There's so much else to write about. This is something that drives me crazy. I was talking to Steve Paikin like when I was on the agenda the other night, and he made the same point, and I was like, there is always stuff to write about. It's politics. He is not the only politician. Politicians are going to politician. It doesn't matter who you are. He's the loudest person in the room. He's like, yeah, he's like throwing shit all over the walls. But if he wasn't, there's still hundreds of other people who are making hundreds of other decisions that we can satirize and make fun of. We just can't see those people because this fucker won't get out of the way.
And that's true, but I also, like, when I was writing about the election, occasionally, like during both the federal and provincial elections, I would try to write about something that wasn't the election, like literally anything that wasn't the election. Important things, like serious things, and also less serious things that I knew I had audiences for because those pieces had done well in the past for me. And they all cratered. Like, and like, I get, you're right, there are absolutely other things to write about, but if we all have to be motivated by money and get a paycheck, what do you do when the audience doesn't care about those other things?
I mean, it's not a perfect scenario, but I just kind of think, like, you have to report on him. I just think that it's just all dedicated to him now. Yeah. It's just, that's all it is. And you don't need to, if you're going to draw, fine. If you need to draw people, if you need the clicks, if you need the engagement, do a 10-minute thing up front of him. And then that's it. But now it's just like everything is about it and it's just exhausting and there's so much more interesting stuff. And I think it's just a question of like, cool, it might, like, their actions might not be as interesting, so you have to be more interesting. You have to make it funny. You have to be better. Like, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And that's kind of my own personal mantra just all the time.
And it is hard. Like, it's hard, grueling work. Like, it's hard being a comedian because, like, being funny for a living is kind of, like, draining in some aspects.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I remember reading a Cracked piece years back about how, like, every single person who writes for the site has major depressive disorder, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
everyone's medicated, like, and it's not a bad thing. It would be worse if they weren't medicated, but it's like, is there anyone who does comedy who's actually happy?
I think happy and healthy are two different things.
Valid.
I would say healthy. What is health? What is health? What is happiness? I mean, like, I think there is a certain level of truth to the old saying that, you know, like comedians just shove everything down and we make jokes instead of feeling the feelings. And part of that's true. And then part of that's just necessity, because it's like you have to just go, all right, 50 people were just killed in Yemen. How do I, how do I satirize this instead of cry? And you kind of have to make jokes about everything all the time because that's your job. And you either learn to deal with that or it destroys you, I guess.
Or sometimes both.
Sure.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah.
Well, fun talking with you about the tragic and terrible life of being a comedian. Folks,
I love it.
Don't go anywhere. Shortly after the break, we will be back with today's 3 headline topics and our guest Clare Blackwood's thoughts on them. Stay tuned. Today's episode of It's Getting Pretty Late with Jake Landau is brought to you by me. You see, folks, while all of my written articles and podcasts are available without a paywall, I need money to make them. Also, I need money to live. So, if you enjoy my content or find it informative, please consider an optional paid subscription at jakelandau.ca/subscribe. Thank you, and enjoy the show. And we are back from the break with our guest, Clare Blackwood, a actor, a writer, and a political satirist and comedian whose work you can find on Blue Sky and at the Beaverton. And today we are going over our 3 headline topics. And the first headline topic is about the new Prime Minister, who is not new. He was the Prime Minister right before the election, Mark Carney. He skated by with a strong majority of about 169 seats. It dipped down 168 and then went back up to 169. Automatic recounts are going to be fun because some of those ridings are really close. But in any case, the election's over. We're sorting things out. And Mark Carney has a lot of different things to focus on, both foreign and domestic. And I guess, Clare, my first question to you is, how painful do you think this is going to be for Mark?
How painful. Well, I think like it's just a transition. I mean, I think he's come into power in a really fucked up time. And I just think it's dealing with, what is it John Mulaney called him, like a horse in a hospital, that is Trump.
That what we call a bull in a china shop nowadays.
Yeah. Exactly. And like, I just feel like he has to be, and I will preface this by saying I don't love Carney. I'm happy that
I also don't love Carney, and
so I want to preface that, because I think like he seems like a smart man. He seems like an economically savvy man. He seems like essentially a conservative and liberal clothing, which don't love that, but he's what we got. So I think like, oh, my cat is yelling at the birds. Well, sorry if you hear cats screaming.
We call that a feature on this podcast.
Yay! Hello, buddy. And so I think
Hi, Gandalf.
He knows exactly what he's getting himself into, as much as anybody can know anything when it comes to Trump.
I know.
So,
but he is going to have to go and sit with Trump in 2 days. And I don't know that that's a good idea for Carney to even be going down to Washington to meet with the guy.
Oh, the guy's not going to fucking kidnap the Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh no, I don't think like they're gonna kill him. Like more that I mean like he hasn't shown any sign of respect. Like Carney keeps saying that he respects our sovereignty, and then Trump says after, "No, I don't." Why should we reward him with a visit? If anything, Trump should have to come to us, and if Trump isn't willing to do that, then why should we even meet with the guy?
I mean, isn't he coming to us?
No, Carney's going down to Washington.
No. I mean, isn't Trump coming up to the G7 in 6 weeks?
Well, maybe. Yeah, he'll be at the thing in Alberta. That's true. But yeah. Why can't we just meet him for the first time there then? Like, that's a great excuse to make him come to us first.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is too centrist of me, because God knows how much of a centrist I am, but I just kind of think like, as somebody who doesn't...
Noted centrist, Clare Blackwood.
As a comedian and somebody who's not an economist, a politician, or a foreign policy expert, I feel like not refusing to visit Donald Trump might do more harm than good. And I'm happy for people to yell at me and say that that's incorrect. I don't know. That's just my gut check of like, they are still, unfortunately, for the time being, and may again be, if the US ever holds elections again, an extremely important trading partner. And so I think what Carney's doing is kind of, to me, seems smart in the sense that he's going, I'm going to meet with the US because they've been our trading partner. They've been our partner in arms since as long as we've been around. However, I am also going to be trying to strengthen other relationships that aren't the US, in case the US just implodes upon itself.
And that's practical and it's pragmatic, and I respect that approach. But also, what if I do want to provoke the US? What if I don't like the US and I want to hurt them?
I mean, then good luck to you, man. Like, I mean, I think that's sure you can, and maybe that is the right decision to make, but that's not a decision that Mark Carney was ever going to make when we voted him in.
True. I mean, that was the Chrystia Freeland decision. That was the we're going to rearm within 2 years and have. I mean,
cool. We're gonna have the fire and manpower to fight the states if they decide to invade us. Like, it's never gonna happen.
I mean, if we built a nuclear bomb, we wouldn't need to fight them.
Yeah. Well, when talks start going nuclear, I just kind of tend to, I don't know, not tune out. It's just like, that's just it's literally just the thing that dangles over all of our heads, and I'm like, maybe
are you saying you find the sword of Damocles threatening, Claire?
Just to, I know, shocker, but it is to everybody. Like, if the answer is everybody gets nukes, good luck, world. I mean, that's certainly an answer.
True, but they seem like a good way of protecting your independence. Like, it seems like everyone who has a nuclear weapon, nobody fucks with those guys, and we should be the guys nobody fucks with.
Fair. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know enough about nuclear global relations to speak intelligently.
If
on
you'd
them.
like a fun fact, Canada in the 50s, Canada built India a nuclear reactor, and we told India, hey, you're only going to use this for peaceful purposes, right? And India was like, yeah, bro, of course, of course. And then India used it to enrich plutonium for a nuclear bomb, and then they got into a border war with China. And
everyone was surprised.
And then to make up for it, Canada in the 60s then also made an agreement to give Pakistan a nuclear reactor. And we were like, hey, Pakistan, you're going to use that for peaceful purposes, right? And they were like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, totally, bro.
Anyways, in short, Canada is at least partially responsible for both India and Pakistan being nuclear-armed states. So I'm sure everyone in Kashmir is very happy with us.
Sure. And I mean, like, if we are able to make a nuclear bomb without the U.S. knowing, because I have a feeling that, like, given the current commander-in-chief, if he hears wind that Canada is building nuclear weapons, that's not, I mean, we shouldn't be predicating our decisions based on, like on how he's going to react. But I just think at this very specific point in time, it would go very poorly for us. Well,
that's why I have a proposal. A modest proposal, a mildly comedic proposal.
Okay.
That we turn the two nuclear power plants at Pickering and Darlington, so in Ajax and in Oshawa, like right on Lake Ontario, that we convert these from peaceful nuclear power plants that help us have good fossil fuel-free lives into a doomsday device.
Oh, love that.
Yeah. And then if America tries to invade, we simply threaten Chernobyl 2 electric boogaloo.
Done.
Yeah.
Mark Carney can be photoshopped onto so many fun things.
I joke, but also...
Oh, really? I had no idea.
But also, like, damn, if we really are worried about America invading, like, maybe we do need them. And also, if India and Pakistan get to have them because we built them reactors, why don't we get to have them? Like, why doesn't Canada get to have the thing that we helped do the science for? Like, why
don't I get Pokemon cards?
I mean, yeah. Like...
No, I know. I mean, I see what you're saying. I just think, like, right now, the States is so volatile that we don't know what's going to happen. And one day he says, I'm going to invade. And then the next day he says... he completely forgets that we exist. And
until Katie Simpson reminds him in a question in the last week of the election.
Well, yeah, exactly. And
I remember just yelling on Twitter. I'm like, why would you remind him? He has the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I go back and forth week to week in terms of, is he seriously going to try to invade Canada? No, he's decided that, he's going to decide that he's like gonna pick on Marco Rubio this week.
He wants to invade Canada, Greenland, and Panama, but he can't decide which one first, and that executive dysfunction is just keeping any of them from going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, God knows, it's probably Putin just whispering in his ear like Grima Wormtongue, especially the Greenland part. So, like, we'll see what happens there. I just think everything is so up in the air right now, and I don't know. I think the question will be, how long do we take to decide whether this is just like growing pains of him becoming president and eventually cooler heads will prevail, or whether this is going to be the next 4 years?
I mean,
I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah. I admire the optimism there. I'm not... But I mean, you are right though. It's if there's you said earlier, if there's an election in 4 years.
Yes.
I'm not sure about that anymore.
No, and I think the American people are going to have to decide how much they're willing to take.
Yeah. I mean, that is honestly when we talk about Star Wars and May the 4th, it is honestly kind of shocking to me how, like, beat for beat this is to Revenge of the Sith, where
Right.
where the Emperor, like, it's absurd when, but also George wasn't subtle with the politics. He named one of the characters after Newt Gingrich. Like,
Yeah.
like the man that and that's honestly, like, not to get too off topic before we move on to the next topic, but like that is one of my favorite things about the Star Wars movies, just that they are just explicitly political. And I wish we did have more political media nowadays, because then maybe people would have the words for what's happening around them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Star Wars did that kind of fun thing where it was I mean, I don't know, I was not alive in the 70s, but like um it didn't come across as overtly political.
Right. Yeah.
It came across as like a fun, space romp. Again,
Yeah.
I could be wrong. That could
Oh
be
yeah,
like,
it's like
but
nobody in the Reaganite '80s was going out to like a highly left-wing movie, but also like George Lucas was explicit that he based the rebels off the Viet
sure.
Cong and the Empire off like American Brit. Like, it's not a mistake that the rebels have women, they have people of color, they have aliens. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
the Empire
Yes.
is all white
It's a
men
bunch
with
of white
British
dudes.
accents. Like, it's
Yep.
very, very intentional. Like,
Yes.
and I get that not everybody picks up on subtext, but it's not my
Well,
fault.
especially
Yeah.
if you're a kid watching these movies, that's
No,
not
but
what you're
that's the
focusing
thing. As a
on.
kid, I got that, so I kind of
Well,
judged the other kid.
congratulations, Jake.
Well, thank you. I
You're
am.
smarter than all of
I
us.
am. People should admit that more often. Thank you for recognizing it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Teach
Very
me
nice
your
to hear.
ways. Yeah.
Uh, Anyways, moving on to our next topic, folks. In other delightful news, Alberta and the Premier Danielle Smith plants suggestions she's stoking separatism talk as First Nations chiefs issue warning telling her to stop stoking separatism talk.
It's so dumb. She's like, I've read the article that you sent me, and I'd read it before, and it was just like her saying, she's not gonna presuppose what questions Albertans might bring to the ballot. Like, I'm not gonna prejudge what they're gonna do petitions for. And it's like, oh, I have no idea what maybe they want a petition for more cowboy
Won't
hats.
someone rid me of this turbulent priest?
Well, I don't. Yeah. And it's just so disingenuous. Like, just fucking say that you want to give the separatists.
It's like she's like, oh, something should be done about this. If only someone will do so. Like, it's transparent, and so and it is. But I picked this article specifically about all of her separatism rabble-rousing because this is a pretty important part. The treaties 6, 7, and 8 cover Alberta, but people don't understand those treaties were signed before Alberta was formed as a province, and they're not.
Yeah, it was made by the Crown.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, the treaties aren't with Alberta; they're with the Crown and Right of Canada. They're with the Canadian state and federal institution. So that's a very important thing because I mean, I know there were attempts with the Clarity Act to try and remove ambiguity in a secession reference, to try and remove ambiguities in how it would work. But the problem with all of those is they didn't really seem to take the Indigenous treaties that seriously. But now the legal environment very much does, and the land does not belong to Alberta. Technically, they could secede, but I don't think they can take any of the land with them.
No, they can all just march on down to the States, which is clearly where they want to go.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who, after the American War of Independence and who, after the War of 1812, felt like they would be better off in the United States and went down, and I'm more than happy to resume this proud Canadian tradition.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what this brings up, this whole thing, is I think it's important to understand what's happening with this sentiment, like why people are feeling like this. And I'm trying to slowly educate myself on in terms of like why a very, a small portion of Alberta is so violently unhappy with the East. It might not be, it might not be like based on fact. It might just be vibes and feelings, but it's been interesting just kind of seeing the two different camps of just being like, well, fuck those people, go to the States. And as opposed to, taking a second and being like, okay, so why do a couple 100,000 people hate Ottawa so much?
Right.
Let's
And
think
Albertan
about that.
separatism is very different from my appraisal than Quebec separatism, because the Quebec separatists will want to be a separate country
Yeah.
regardless of whether a left-wing or a right-wing government is in power federally or provincially.
Yes.
But when in Alberta, it's separatism. I'm not going to call it Western separatism because the nucleus is very much Alberta, and like the attempts for them to say we're going to drag the Yukon and the Northwest Territories and BC and Saskatchewan with us because they all want to come to. Like it's transparently a little imperialist, more than a little, to be frank, because like the difference is they're very transparently, we only want to separate when the people we support lose. And that's not how democracy works. Like democracy requires accepting that you lost an election and saying, okay, we'll try better next time. Like it's not a democracy if you threaten to leave whenever you don't get your way. Like it's not like 100% consensus agreement all the time. Sometimes we will vote on things, and something that is good for Alberta may not necessarily be good for the country as a whole, and we'll have to make choices. And we already made compromises on the fossil fuel industry, far more than we should have, based on how hot Toronto seems to be getting every year. But and that wasn't enough for them because they don't want concessions. They don't want compromise. They want to pick up their ball and go home.
Yeah, it's just petulance. And I've often thought that the idea of a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada it's so funny to me. And not like haha funny, but just like, what the fuck are you talking about, Danielle? Funny?
Like they would be landlocked. Like they have no it's not like Manitoba at least has a port, and a pretty valuable commercial port, and they're planning to establish a second one. Because Wob Canoe, for all of my criticisms and valid criticisms, at least has basic consideration for trying to build up the provincial economy. But I digress on that. I think my main concern here though is I'm not concerned about an independence referendum succeeding. I know there'll be a referendum on a ballot, and it'll be sooner rather than later because the premier clearly wants to make it happen. My concern is what happens when Donald Trump says we believe there were irregularities, and that's why, because we know Alberta really wants to be part of the United States, and it's a lie, and that's why the referendum failed. They rigged it against us, and we're sending U.S. troops to protect our Albertan friends from the Canadian invaders, and then suddenly Alberta is annexed. I can't be... I know one journalist, and I won't say who, I used to be friends with him, he's not fond of my appraisal of that, but I can't be the only one who's worried about that. Am I?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, that wasn't something that I'd ever considered. But I also think just because the Albertan separatism has existed far longer than the 51st state conversation. True, and will continue.
But now they have an explicit Republican Party of Alberta, which feels a little bit on the nose.
Sure, but it also just yes, anything is possible with the Trump administration. I think that's important to note. I just think that a lot of the time it's the general sentiment, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, is not, we want to secede from Canada and become Americans. It's just we want to secede from Canada. And then there's a very, very, very small fringe group of people who are like, haha, yeah, jokes, that'd be fun to live in America. But I think, I don't know, I feel like that might be a bit of a
A lot of the vocal separatists who are championing the movement, though, who are organizing it and who are whipping people up, are those people, though. There's a reason that the separatist party of Alberta that formed called themselves the Republican Party. Like, they're and gave themselves the color red. Like, they're not, I mean, yes, obviously it's a bit speculative, but like I mean, as I'm Jewish, and I know what it's like when a country decides other countries should be part of their country and starts manufacturing premises, because it feels dangerously similar to how like the Anschluss of Austria by Germany happened. Like, and that wasn't necessarily a fair referendum. If you saw that ballot, like their two biggest words are Hitler and yes, with a big circle, and then in the tiny corner there's a tiny circle, and in tiny words, no. Like, so it's not that I would be worried about a majority of Albertans supporting it. It's that I'd be worried, like, I worry about some people who own guns in this country. I worry about some people who own guns in our neighboring country. And this is kind of the implicit threat of separatism when they're like, because there are a bunch who will not be satisfied if peaceful means don't work. And it does kind of make me afraid a little.
I think a lot of it's probably going to come down to, unfortunately, Danielle Smith. Like, I feel like as much as she's just like, oh, I have no idea what they want petitions for.
And that's why her Mar-a-Lago visits really, really scare me. And that, like, a lot of these puzzle pieces sort of seem to like fit together.
Yep. No, I mean, it's just, she's going to have to pick a side, essentially. She can't, if it's going to get that extreme, she's going to have to pick a side, because like at that point, Carney's going to get involved. She's going to have to explain her actions. Like she can't just stand back and play, mediator forever when it comes to Trump. And if it comes to him saying, well, the election was rigged, I'm going to help you out. I think a lot of it's going to ride on her response.
Well, thankfully, Danielle Smith can always be trusted to do the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Less.
Yeah. She seems to really like trains. Like, and, if she could just focus on that and,
yeah.
Ignore, like, Danielle, like, stop hurting trans children. Like, if you could just build, like, I saw her post about high-speed rail in Japan and how, like, excited she was taking it. Apparently she owns a restaurant she founded inside an antique rail car. So, like, really, if she just wants to focus on getting that Edmonton to Calgary train, like, built and done and dusted, like, I would be happy if she could just occupy herself with that. But I don't think we get to live in that kind of world, do we?
No, and I mean, that would be a nice world. I also don't know if Trump actually knows Alberta exists yet. Like, I don't think he actually understands that Canada has provinces.
She may have told him, but he may not have remembered.
Which ones? Yeah, that's the thing. He's going to have to remember. He has to be reminded about the 51st state thing. Like, I completely understand where you're coming from in terms of, like, hypothetical fears. Yeah, that's totally, I mean, in some timeline it is absolutely a possibility. I think, I mean,
hopefully not ours.
I think the only thing you can say about this administration right now is hopefully that doesn't happen, because we have no clue what he's going to do tomorrow.
Well, will Canada be conquered by an invading nation? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Okay, moving on to our final topic of the day, folks. And as you guys know, we always like to do a more local news story. So we're going to the story. GM is going to be laying off 750 workers at their Oshawa plant, citing both U.S. tariffs and changing market conditions. They're currently a 3-shift factory, and they'll be going down to 2 shifts, which means in total they'll be laying off about 750 people who work good union jobs with like a very nice like set of benefits that makes it a proper career that you can raise a family on. And this is really bad news for Oshawa. And
it's really sad.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's one of the problems here is that like the Trump told car companies to pick a side, and obviously GM, which has its headquarter building in Detroit, is going to pick Detroit over Windsor. Like, I mean, over Oshawa, over London, like, over Oakville, like over like, and it's shitty. Like, it's really shitty. But we're in a position where like Canadian car manufacturers don't exist anymore. Like, it's just the plants of American manufacturers. We went fully in on NAFTA because we trusted, rightly or wrongly, that America would be a consistent business partner. And now, like, they're doing the incredibly stupid thing where they're like, we want to destroy Canadian jobs and then make Canadians pay for our things, but they won't have jobs to pay for the things. Like, it's, and I mean, like, I don't really know what you do about it, because they also aren't wrong about changing market conditions. Like, I know they spent a lot of money retooling the plant, but personal vehicles in general are also just becoming less popular. Like, I know I don't have a driver's license. I got a G1 when I was a teenager because my dad took me, he literally told me a week before, it's like, you don't get to choose whether you take the test, but you get to choose how well you do. So I got my G1 doing that test in the learning center, but I never got anything past it because I didn't want to. I live right beside a subway station. Why would I drive in the city of Toronto? And it's not just in Toronto where you can do that. There are a lot of places in Ontario and Canada where you can live like well and fully independently without a car, and cars are really fucking expensive too. So it's like I don't really know what's to be done here. Like, because I mean, we can't rely on American companies to put Canada before America when they're put to choose. And there also is just less demand for cars, and also not much export demand for these kind of big ass cars that can't even fit on narrow roads in Europe and Asia.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shitty situation all around. And I think it's really unfortunate that we're having to make these big decisions that affect hundreds and thousands of people's lives based on the whim of a horse in a hospital. And it's just, the article was saying about how they gave their workers 6 months notice about the layoffs. And it's just like, anything could happen in 6 months. Literally anything.
Yeah.
Trump could decide that no one can have cars. Trump could decide that everyone has to have a car. Like, it's just it's so volatile. And if I were a worker, I'd be so furious that my entire livelihood is based on this fuckwit downstairs.
And it's like the only schadenfreude I have is that like the owners of these companies are taking massive hits to their net worth, which because they were stupid enough to they backed the fascist thinking he would be good for business, and then the fascist fucks with their businesses and then will probably nationalize one or two in the future if they speak out against it. Like, it happened before and it'll happen again. Like,
yeah, so they'll only get $5 million bonuses this year instead of.
No, yeah, and like, yeah, it's not much consolation. Yeah, I mean, like, their net worth does affect like how much money they have, like, to loan for like whatever lecture, but it's not the same. It's not even close. Like, the people at the executive at GM will never like experience the real consequences that this is creating for people in Oshawa.
No. No, and like they don't. I don't know. I feel like once you get to a certain level of CEO, you have to have a certain lack of empathy, and I just
Yeah.
don't know if they. I don't know if they. I don't know if you can fire 750 people en masse and care. Um, and
Yeah,
I think. I mean, I think the answer is just like, well, they're out of jobs. If we're slowly closing down car manufacturing things, then where are the jobs come? Like where? What other jobs can we create?
right.
What like are we creating transit?
But that's
Like
the other thing too. They don't really have any hope of building a bus factory in Canada for very good reason. We have both Nova Bus in Quebec, and we have New Flyer in Winnipeg, and both of those are not just popular in Canada, but a lot of American public transit operators buy them too. So it like there are in public transit and and public transit manufacturing, we do have more well-established Canadian industry where we have more of an ownership stake and capture more tax revenue, both from worker income and from corporate income. It's just that we don't have that in personal vehicles. And if that's a shift, then like I can understand market shifts. I can understand when something just becomes less popular. And it's like, you can't, like, if people are not buying a product, then there can't be jobs for it. I get that. But something must be done to either help people transition into another job or to create a universal basic income scheme so that people are not complete. Because if we're going to create automation and also have things to such a degree that there is not a job for every person who needs one, and that there are not jobs that pay enough to live for everybody who needs one, then the answer is not simply to let people die in the street. That's psychotic.
That's psychotic and that's politics, Biggie.
Yeah, it's psychotic,
like, I mean,
and it's also what we do.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, like, I'd like to think that Carney's new government
yeah, no.
Universal basic income is absolutely not on the liberal docket. And I don't know if I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like such a Debbie Downer. I'm like, I don't think it'll ever happen.
His
Maybe
solution
to
climate change was what? To get people to buy carbon credits?
like pipelines. I mean, I don't know.
If anything, I have hope that the Bloc Québécois will block any new pipelines. Because,
well, I mean, like, at least going through their province.
No, actually, I mean, they're federal MPs, so I think they should actually just help block it in any part of the country.
Ah, I see.
No, yeah. Would that be outrageous and probably trigger more of the Albertan secession talk from the previous topic? Absolutely. But would it also be really funny? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, I'd like to think that Carney has... you know, he's an economic banker dude, scientifically, and like, I'd like to think that he kind of,
as much as economics is a science.
Yeah, and like, you know, I'd like to think that he can understand what's going on and has a plan for the creation of jobs. Because I certainly don't think that. I think if he tried to bring out like universal basic income right now, it's God.
And also, he doesn't want to. Like, let's
absolutely not.
Let's not project progressivism onto him. Like, he's center right. Like, he won by appealing. Like, not like he got a bunch of NDP voters to give up their votes for nothing out of fear because they never got rid of first past the post, and it paid off for them. Like, they're going to try and be the new Democrat. Well, not the new Democrats, but the new American Democrats, but in Canada. Like,
yes, and they basically are. We basically are down to a three-party system at this point, unfortunately.
Well, it's like I wrote the column the other day. It's a 2.5-party system. It's 2-party in the rest of Canada. And in Quebec, they have 3 parties because they have not fully degenerated like we have. Like, I do like Quebec. I mean, not everything about Quebec, but sometimes I'd rather be in Montreal than here.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I just kind of have to hope that whatever emerges like a phoenix from the ashes of the NDP party where it stands right now will be better and more progressive and more left-wing populist. And we can start having these conversations about UBI. Because I think I'm all for it.
Right.
But
first, the party needs to exist that Labor actually wants to vote for.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I just kind of hope that whoever comes out and leads the NDP. I mean, that's what I'm keeping a huge eye on. I don't know
I
who they've
mean,
got,
the only
but
NDP provincial governments who seem to get elected now are in the West. And I mean, it does make sense. Like, before they were the NDP, they were the CCF. They were a bunch of socialist farmers in Saskatchewan. And, like, obviously, that may not be the exact combination. But, like, there is a lot of appeal that can be made with the right person to a working class, whether they be urban or rural demographic. Like, but they have to
well,
try.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's now is the moment where we need an NDP government. Not an NDP government, but we need a socialist populist party to come in and say, hey, 750 people just lost their jobs. What the fuck are we going to do about that?
And we don't have that. There's a conservative provincial government. There's a
Yep.
there's a red conservative federal government. Like, they're gonna be left to rot pretty much, and I don't like it.
I'll be curious. I don't know. I'm curious as to see who they pick as their next leader.
Indeed. I mean, I hope the NDP don't die, because it would be really bad for federal politics if they did. I hope that the reports of their death has been overly exaggerated.
Yeah.
Claire, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure, as always, and I hope we may have you again soon.
My pleasure.
Clare Blackwood, everybody. That'll do it for this week's episode, folks. Thanks you for tuning in. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. So long. This is the end of the show. Bye.